Hello, here I am with a first of a series of videos about using Quizlet as a form to, as a very helpful app to help you learn vocabulary more easily. We've been talking a lot about these days because you sometimes feel that you're struggling a lot with this, especially when you're going through lots of topics and you're learning lots of words. No? And some of you were given some very interesting ideas, like you learn a lot of vocabulary because you read a lot in English or you listen to English a lot. So that is definitely a wonderful and actually essential habit that you should keep up, because it's brilliant. The input of English that you get is wonderful. But the question that we had was, how do you work with the words so you actually learn them? No? So how can you go one step further and make sure that all those words that you're learning and you think are relevant, so how you record them, how you manage to keep them with you for whenever you need to use them, no? And some of you said that the glossary, for example, is a very good idea. Now that perhaps you could keep a notebook where you, for example, keep record of new words that you found interesting or significant with its spelling, pronunciation, an example as personal as possible so it helps you remember, and also some synonyms or the differences or similarities with some words. Okay, but some of you were saying, okay, glossary is fine, and that you usually start off with a lot of enthusiasm, but you may lose interest as time goes by, no? So I'm going to show you how to use an app, which I think is very, very helpful for that. And as I said in class, if there's one app I would strongly recommend using is definitely Quizlet. Okay, so in this video, I'm just going to show you some basics, what you can do with Quizlet. All right, so in what ways is it really a good idea for you to have your own account? Okay, so for that, you would have to go here, Quizlet.com, and create your own account. You can see my own Quizlet sets, my own learning sets in Moodle now, and you can actually access them and play with the words. But in what ways could it be interesting for you to have your own account? Well, here it is, because you can create all these word lists on your own very easily, which would be like a glossary, but in a digital device and accessible now and in the future, and to be used in many different ways. The app is free. I know it has some advertising that might be annoying, but I think the benefits outperforms maybe, well, the drawbacks of having publicity and so on. So let me show you, for example, what you can do and how to create your own learning sets and why it is so helpful. So we're going to click here on crear. All right, and we're going to create a unit. Okay, Quizlet, the main product you get with Quizlet are learning sets or learning units. Okay, so here you're going to create one. Let's imagine we are working with films and books and how to describe them. So let's put a title here, films and books, and here a description, adjectives to describe films and to describe films and books. Okay, now the description is interesting because maybe at the beginning when you have one or two learning sets, you don't get too lost, but as soon as you do many, it's good that you have a very descriptive explanation of what you're going to find. Okay. Well, if you click here, you can add an image and label the image, but that's not what we're going to do now. Okay, right now we're going to create a glossary as the one you said you would do in your notebooks. So imagine here the término or the term is the word that you want to learn. So let's say, for example, boring. Okay. And here you click on the right where it says definición or definition. And if you want to use the translation or the word in Spanish, you could probably pick aburrido, no, to help you remember. But you can also use definitions. So for example, if you choose instead English, what you will get is a list of suggestions of one that you can use. So instead of you creating the definition itself, you would just choose the one that is most suitable. On top of that, if you click here on Imagen, image, you can choose maybe a descriptive image that can help you remember. All right, and we move on. Let's think of another word, like for example, gripping. Okay, make sure that you get the spelling right. That's very important. And here again, you click on definición or definition, and I would probably keep this one, exciting or interesting in a way that keeps your attention. Also, you would click on an image and maybe, I don't know, choose the image that you find most interesting. I don't know, you can even pick an animated image if you like, but I don't know, let's keep this one just for an example. And another one, which would be, for example, haunting. No? We said that sometimes a soundtrack can be haunting because it's very difficult to ignore or forget something, not easily forgotten. And perhaps, I don't know, maybe this one. With the images, I mean, really the most important thing is that they are meaningful for you, because sometimes it's not easy. Okay. So imagine you could go on forever. I mean, you could add as many words as you wish. I have some learning sets with up to 40 words. And then at the end, once you're happy with the learning set, you would click on crear. You can't see it in the screen, but it's a little blue rectangle that you have at the bottom. Okay. And there you go. There you go. When you create a learning set, you always get this pop-up that says, do you want to share it? We're not going to share it now, but it is a very interesting feature that I would strongly encourage you to use, with your partners, okay? So imagine this is what we have. This is what you've just created. You've created a glossary where you can see the words here. As you can see, the términos. As you can see, you can edit it further and add or remove the terms, all right? If you're working with them, and doing any of these games that we'll see in a minute, and you see that, for example, an image doesn't mean anything to you, or you'd like to change it, well, you'd only have to edit here, all right, and maybe change the image, all right? Okay, or edit the whole set as well. Okay, if you edit this button with this button here, you can actually edit the whole set and maybe remove this image and pick another one, for example, this. Okay, so as you can see, it is an app that allows a lot of improvement and to personalize depending on your needs, no? And what can you do with it? Why is it so incredibly convenient? Because it allows you to revise vocabulary in many diverse ways, from flashcards, fichas, for example. So if you click on this, it sort of creates flashcards for you to go through the words that you have learned. Here you can choose. You can't see it in the there you go, activado. You can't see it because it's out of the screen, but at the very bottom left, you have options where you can decide whether to start with the definition or the term. Okay. So gripping.
Exciting or interesting in a way that keeps your attention.
And you have the sound as well. Okay.
Haunting.
Haunting. What is haunting? So you try to remember.
Difficult to ignore or forget. Something not easily forgotten.
Okay, so that would be flashcards, for example, just to practice and just to revise some words. Then you can test yourself with the aprender or learning.
Dull, uninteresting.
And here you would have, for example, the chance to choose which one is
Exciting
correct.
or interesting in a way that keeps your attention.
Gripping.
Difficult to ignore or forget. Something not easily forgotten.
Okay, as you can see, the app gives you feedback. It also keeps record of the words that you've had most difficulties with, so you can get back to them. All right, another game would be Escribir, where you...
Difficult to ignore or forget. Something not easily forgotten.
It's brilliant because you get, for example, the definition, and here you would write the word, which in English, taking into account how difficult the spelling is...
Dull, uninteresting.
Okay, it can be very difficult. All right. Then you've got ortografía, which is just listen to the words you hear, listen to the words and write them down. So you would click on the little icon, the audio icon here, gripping, and you would write the word, and the app would say if it's right or wrong. And then testing, where you get a series of questions, all right, to complete. All right, a little bit of multiple choice, fill in the gaps, and answering questions. All right, and then you have more fun games like combinar, which is, for example, where you have to make sure everything disappears by matching the definition. All right, you just click on it and you match the definition with the image or with the word. Okay. So I think these would be the very, very basics for you to see how interesting it is to have your own units. Because, for example, if you read a book, for example, you were saying you read a book and you want to write down some words, well, why not create a unit based on that book, for example? So in a way, you would have the word list available for as many times as you wish, and eventually those words will stick. Okay. So I think these would be the basics for you to get started. So give it a try and you let me know if you like it. All right. And hopefully with this, learning vocabulary will be so much easier.